When the words Ancient Peru are mentioned, images of the Nazca lines, the Inca Empire, or perhaps the lost city of Machu Picchu usually come to mind. But Peru's history stretches back thousands of years, long before the mighty Incas ever existed. The traces those ancient people left behind may not be as grand as lost cities, but they are no less amazing or mysterious. From magnificent megalithic structures built with impossible precision to strange elongated skulls that don't match any known human species, these are the 15 mysterious discoveries from ancient Peru. Number 15. Aramu Muru. The Gate of the Gods. The Incas believed that this gate was far more than an unusual carving in solid rock. According to one of Peru's most enduring legends, it was a doorway to the world of the gods. The story begins in 1533 when Spanish conquistadors swept into the Inca Empire, leaving destruction wherever they went. Fearing that a sacred golden disc known as the Key of the Gods of the Seven Rays would fall into Spanish hands, an Inca priest named Amaru Ramu fled toward Lake Titicaca, carrying the treasured relic with him. His journey then brought him before an enormous stone doorway watched over by a group of holy men. They told him that this was the legendary Gate of the Gods, a portal through which great heroes passed after their lives on Earth had ended. At the center of the doorway was a perfectly carved circular recess. When Amaru Ramu placed the golden disc inside, it is said to have fit flawlessly. Moments later, the entrance glowed with an intense blue light before slowly opening. The priest stepped through the portal and, according to the legend, was never seen again, leaving behind one of ancient Peru's greatest mysteries. Number 14. Ollantaytambo. The ancient Inca fortress. This Inca site in southern Peru is one of the most advanced and perplexing ancient wonders ever built by human hands. In the sacred valley of the Incas, this site contains some of the finest megalithic masonry found anywhere in the world. The Temple of the Sun is its greatest wonder. Built from enormous pink granite blocks weighing between 50 and 70 tons. Every block was shaped with insane accuracy and fitted so perfectly that not even a sheet of paper can pass between the joints. The sheer scale of these huge stones, combined with the precision of their construction and the challenge of transporting them across the valley, has led many researchers to question whether the builders possessed engineering knowledge far beyond what is normally credited to the Inca. One of the granite blocks also bears a stepped carving called chacana, or Andean cross, an ancient symbol found at megalithic sites throughout South America. The oldest known example comes from Tiwanaku in Bolivia, suggesting that this tradition stretches back far beyond the Inca Empire. The more you study Ollantaytambo, the harder it becomes to dismiss it as just another archaeological site. Ancient Peru still guards its greatest secrets. Number 13. The mysterious Paracas lines. The Nazca lines in Peru have puzzled researchers for decades. But what many don't realize is that they weren't the first giant figures ever drawn across this land. Back in 2014, archaeologists announced the discovery of their older relatives, built by the Paracas culture around 300 BC, nearly 3 centuries before the earliest Nazca designs appeared. The discovery was made in Peru's Chincha Valley, where researchers found more than 70 ancient geoglyph lines forming part of a much larger and planned landscape. Alongside them stood large mounds, pyramids, 353 stone cairns, and arrangements of rocks laid out in circles and rectangles. Some of these lines and monuments were also aligned with the June solstice sunset, suggesting that nothing about the site was accidental. Rather than serving a single purpose, researchers believe the complex acted as a gathering place where seasonal trade fairs, ceremonies, and celebrations took place, while also helping people track time throughout the year. Well, even today, the full purpose of these enormous markings remains one of ancient Peru's unanswered mysteries. Number 12. Opa Iglesia. the ancient stone portal. If Ollantaytambo represents the pinnacle of ancient Peruvian engineering, then Huaca leaves an even bigger question behind. Why would a site this magnificently great remain almost unknown while places such as Machu Picchu attract millions of visitors every year? Deep within Peru's Sacred Valley lies a site that many experts believe is far older than the Incas themselves. Some even argue that the Inca didn't build it at all, but instead found it and later incorporated it into their own culture. The first thing that greets you is a perfectly carved inverted V-shaped entrance cut directly into the mountainside. But anyone hoping to explore farther reaches a dead end. The passage has been blocked for centuries by a collapse of stone, reinforced with an additional wall that many believe was added later. So, was it sealed to protect something sacred? Was it hiding a chamber that no longer exists? Or was it simply strengthened after part of the cave collapsed? Well, it's still a mystery. But that's only where the mystery begins. Just a few steps away sits the feature that has made Huaca famous among researchers, a precise false doorway carved directly into solid andesite, one of the hardest volcanic rocks in the Andes. Its sharp angles, smooth finish, and almost complete absence of visible tool marks have left many wondering what kind of methods were used to shape it with such near-perfect precision. Number 11. The Band of Holes from Turkey to Toronto. Mysterious sinkholes usually appear as the result of natural forces. But Peru is home to something different. Stretching for almost a mile across the foothills of the Andes near Pisco is a strange formation known as the Band of Holes, where more than 5,200 carefully dug pits cover the landscape in long, organized rows. Each hole measures between 3 and 6 feet wide and up to 3 feet deep. Ever since the site was first photographed from the air in 1931, archaeologists have struggled to explain why anyone would invest so much effort into digging thousands of perfectly arranged depressions. Some imagined ancient astronauts, while others suggested storage pits, gardens, defensive works, or water collectors. New research published in 2025 offers another possibility. Archaeologists now believe the Chincha people may have used the site around 1,000 years ago as a giant barter marketplace where baskets filled with maize, cotton, coca, and other goods were placed inside the holes, allowing traders to compare quantities and exchange products fairly. But these are theories, not answers. Number 10. Puma Punku. The impossible stone city. This place, high in the Andes Mountains, is one of the strangest discoveries linked to the ancient Andean world. Puma Punku stands near Lake Titicaca in modern Bolivia, not far from Peru, and was already abandoned when the Incas first encountered it. They don't leave behind a clear record explaining who built it or when. Archaeologists usually date the site to around 500 C. But Arthur Poznansky argued that its solar alignments pointed to an age of nearly 17,000 years. His claim remains heavily disputed, but the stonework is much harder to dismiss. We mean huge blocks of granite and diorite were cut into flawless right angles, drilled with identical holes, and fitted together so tightly that even a razor blade cannot enter the joints. Some pieces resemble machine-made components rather than ordinary masonry. So how did people working without steel or modern equipment achieve this level of accuracy? What's even more crazier is that similar scoop marks and glassy surfaces also appear at ancient sites in Peru and Egypt, leading some researchers to suggest heat, solar energy, or even sound-based technology. Number 9. The strange skulls of elite. Around 3 centuries before the Incas arrived in Peru, the Calagua people began shaping their skulls into unusually long forms. This otherworldly tradition started around AD 1300 and continued for hundreds of years. But skull shaping wasn't practiced by everyone. Hoping to understand why families chose to alter their children's heads, researchers recently examined over 200 skulls recovered from 2 Calagua burial grounds. What they found was unexpected. The elongated skulls appeared mostly in elite graves, suggesting the custom was closely linked with high social status. Even more surprising, the practice wasn't introduced overnight, but became increasingly refined over many generations. Beginning in infancy, wooden boards and tightly wrapped cloth were carefully used to guide the growing skull into its distinctive cone-like shape. Researchers believe that sharing such a unique appearance may have strengthened the bond among the ruling class, helping them remain united as the Inca Empire expanded into the region around 1450. Whether the Calagua peacefully joined the empire or not remains debated. What isn't disputed is that, much like their Cavana neighbors, they eventually vanished from history. Number 8. Coricancha. The Temple of Gold. We like to think that every great civilization leaves behind its finest achievement. For the Inca Empire, many believe that the place was Coricancha. But the more closely you examine it, the more difficult it becomes to believe the story ends there. Built at the heart of Cusco and later buried beneath the convent of Santo Domingo after the Spanish conquest, Coricancha was the most sacred temple dedicated to the sun god Inti. While its walls of gold disappeared centuries ago, its stone foundations remain almost untouched. Massive andesite blocks, polished to an almost metallic finish, fit together with astonishing precision, leaving joints so fine that even a razor blade cannot pass between them. Some researchers argue that this level of craftsmanship exceeds anything associated with the Inca, suggesting they may have inherited an even older monument rather than building it from the ground up, like the others. But that's only part of the story. The multi-angled polygonal blocks, perfectly aligned drill holes, L-shaped cornerstones, and precisely fitted joints of this megalithic temple still challenge conventional explanations. Number 7. The blood-painted gold mask. This ancient mask wasn't made mysterious by the gold it was built from, but by what scientists discovered covering its surface nearly 1,000 years later. Found inside the tomb of a Sick elite in northern Peru, the golden funerary mask had long been known to carry a brilliant red coating made from cinnabar. But in 2021, researchers found the ingredient that held the paint together, and the answer surprised everyone. Along with proteins from bird eggs, laboratory analysis identified human blood mixed into the paint itself. Researchers ruled out later contamination and believe the blood was deliberately added before the burial. Why would anyone do that? One theory suggests the Sican viewed blood as the essence of life, allowing the deceased ruler to be reborn as a divine ancestor. That idea becomes even more intriguing when you consider the burial itself. The masked leader was placed upside down beside 2 women positioned as if they were assisting childbirth, while the remains of 2 children rested nearby. So, was this an ordinary burial or part of a ritual symbolizing death, rebirth, and the journey into another world? Number 6. The ancient tree of the Incas. Well, this was one of those discoveries that caught everyone by surprise because the tree was big and had been growing there all along. Researchers had seen these towering trees for years, with some reaching heights of nearly 30 meters. But it wasn't until 2017 that they realized they were looking at an entirely new kind of rubber tree. Its closest relatives include poinsettias and other latex-producing members of the spurge family. Even so, this species proved so different that scientists had to establish a completely new genus just to classify it. Discoveries like that are incredibly rare, almost like identifying oak trees for the very first time. Named Incadendron esseri, or Esser's tree of the Inca. It grows along the ancient Troca Unin, an old Inca road stretching from southern Peru into Ecuador. Scientists are still trying to understand why it thrives so well in such a demanding environment. Sadly, rising temperatures and deforestation are now threatening one of Peru's most incredible living discoveries before we have fully understood it. Number 5. The unexpected mummy of Caral. The history of Peru reaches much farther back than the Inca Empire. Long before the Inca, the Maya, or the Aztecs rose to prominence, the Caral civilization was already flourishing nearly 5,000 years ago. Spread across more than 630 hectares and filled with pyramids and ceremonial structures, Caral became South America's earliest known civilization and the place where urban life first emerged on the continent. But because almost no written records survived, much of its story remains unknown. That changed with the find of a preserved 4,500-year-old female mummy at Sparrow, an ancient fishing settlement 25 kilometers from Caral. Believed to have been between 40 and 50 years old, she was buried in the fetal position and surrounded by valuable offerings, including 4 carved figurines shaped like monkeys and birds, a necklace made from seashells, and a pendant crafted from a spondylus shell. The care taken with her burial has led experts to believe she held an important position in society, offering rare evidence that women may have enjoyed status and influence equal to that of men in one of Peru's earliest civilizations. Number 4. Sacsayhuamán, the impossible walls. When it comes to mysterious ancient discoveries in Peru, the walls of Sacsayhuamán are almost impossible to ignore. Above Cusco, enormous limestone blocks, some weighing close to 200 tons, were shaped into irregular forms and joined so tightly that not even a thin blade can pass between them. But how were stones this large quarried, transported, lifted, and fitted without iron tools, the wheel, or powerful draft animals? Even stranger, several blocks contain as many as 12 carefully formed angles, while others curve around corners, display scoop-like marks, bulging faces, and small stone knobs also seen at megalithic sites far beyond Peru. Mainstream history credits the Incas, particularly the reign of Pachacuti, yet the masonry differs sharply from their smaller and more regular construction. Nearby evidence of the earlier Quilque culture has therefore led some researchers to wonder whether the Incas expanded a site that already existed. Its zigzag walls may represent a puma's teeth, while underground passages are said to connect it with Cusco. Was Sacsayhuamán a fortress, a ceremonial center, an astronomical site, or the surviving work of builders whose methods simply vanished? Number 3. The Atacama mummies. Peru wasn't just the homeland of the Inca or the Nazca. Sometimes, archaeologists uncover a forgotten culture that almost vanished without leaving its name behind. That happened between 2012 and 2014 when around 150 naturally preserved mummies were unearthed in the Atacama Desert. The bodies had been placed directly into the dry sand, wrapped only in cotton, reeds, or fishing nets, allowing the desert to preserve them for well over 1,000 years. Dating from between the 4th and 7th centuries AD, these people lived 500 years before either the Inca or Tiwanaku reached the region. Their grave goods revealed a very sophisticated society, beautifully decorated pottery, jewelry, tools, weapons, and everyday household objects offered rare glimpses into their lives, showing that they fished, crafted ornaments, and even carried combs. Researchers also uncovered rare bows and llama remains that may reshape what historians know about the region. In fact, a nearby cemetery contained later Tiwanaku burials, extending that civilization much farther south than previously believed. All right, now, let's move to number 2. Toro Muerto petroglyphs. If the Paracas lines weren't enough to make you question ancient Peru, Toro Muerto takes that feeling even further. Scattered across more than 5 square kilometers of Peru's high desert, this enormous archaeological site contains over 5,000 carved volcanic boulders, making it one of the largest collections of petroglyphs anywhere on Earth. Most researchers associate the site with the Wari culture, which flourished between AD 500 and 900, but many questions remain unanswered. The carvings portray people, birds, reptiles, llamas, geometric symbols, zigzags, diamonds, circles, and countless patterns whose meanings have long been forgotten. Yet a handful of images refuse to fit into any explanation. Some appear to resemble animals such as rhinoceroses and hippos, creatures never native to South America. Others show human-like figures wearing unusual helmets, antenna-like projections, or strange objects extending from their hands. Similar figures have also been reported on ancient rock art in Australia and Europe. Well, coincidence or not, no one can explain why these carvings exist, who they were truly meant for, or why such an enormous gallery was placed in one of Peru's harshest landscapes. Number 1. Machu Picchu, Peru's greatest discovery. Well, every person on Earth has heard about Machu Picchu. But very few people realize that this world-famous city holds far more mysteries than most history books ever mention. Beyond its breathtaking mountain setting lie enormous granite blocks fitted together with astonishing precision, walls so perfectly joined that even a .09 millimeter gauge cannot slide between the stones. The craftsmanship is so extraordinary that many researchers believe the megalithic foundations belong to a much older phase of construction than the Inca Empire itself. They point to the striking difference between the gigantic mortarless stonework and the smaller walls of rough stones and clay that appear to repair or extend parts of the site. If both were built by the same civilization, why is the quality so dramatically different? The mystery deepens when you remember that granite is one of the hardest natural stones on Earth, far harder than bronze tools. But these blocks, some weighing nearly 50 tons, were quarried, transported, shaped, and fitted with a level of precision that continues to challenge engineers and archaeologists alike. If you've enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.